Yeah, let's hurt as many as we can. You ever notice nobody hates other Americans more than the Americans who keep boasting about how American they are?
But this is an affront to states' rights. This is big government. This isn't conservatism, and we don't have to relitigate whether he's conservative, he's not, he doesn't care, that's fine.
The highest rates of murder and violence happen to be Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, states that are run by Republican legislatures.
To Bakari's point, if a Democratic president decided to withhold all federal funds for the state of Texas because they banned abortion, would you be okay with that?
Hi guys, welcome to the channel. As you can see from that intro clip, this was a pretty good panel. I'm glad they had a pretty good, robust conversation, and it seems like Scott Jennings is just not able to understand that states' rights exist for blue states as well. California is not a begging state. California does not need the money from the federal government as much as the federal government needs the money from California. Yes. So, y'all tell me how y'all feel about this. Let's get straight into this. I have a question. I want answered in the comments. Do you think that California should withhold their money? Or do you think they should continue to, give welfare to all these red states that seem to hate welfare? Let's go ahead and get into this.
Welcome back. It's our Summer Friday edition of the show. We are at the Food Network's kitchen right here in New York with friends of the program and a fantastic chef with a special dinner dish for us. We will enjoy some of that very soon. But first, tonight, Donald Trump is escalating his fight with the state of California. Sources tell CNN that the administration is considering large-scale federal funding cuts for the state. Agencies are being told to start identifying what should go. Among the moves being considered, fully canceling federal grants and funding for the University of California and the California State University systems. Earlier this week, California was warned of fines after a trans high school athlete competed and won in a championship. Last month, the administration slashed over $120 million in flood prevention funding projects. And earlier this year, Trump threatened California for its handling of devastating wildfires. Sometimes, all the time with Trump, it is hard to distinguish what is the personal vendetta against a state and perhaps its governor from the issues that they write in the press releases. And I think this is one of those times because the potential consequences to wide swaths of the American population seem to far outweigh what is being talked about, the specific issues they're talking about in here.
Well, I think they have good reason to go to war with California because they've done terrible things. The university system there, maybe worse than any other system in the country, terrorized Jewish kids, allowing for Jew exclusion zones on campus and refused to take responsibility for it. That's number one. They're violating the president's executive order and the administration's views on Title IX regarding boys playing girls' sports. And I'll give you a third one that's breaking tonight. The mayor of Los Angeles is saying she's not going to cooperate with the Department of Homeland Security and ICE as they try to round up illegal aliens. And so you have a state right now being run by a bunch of people who do not want to comply with clear federal law and clear federal mandates, and somebody needs to confront them. The president is doing
it. The president is on the trans athlete, which we discussed right here last week. This is a high school athlete, and they're trying to punish the entire state over that one student.
Flooded, yeah, let's hurt as many as we can. You ever notice nobody hates other Americans more than the Americans who keep boasting about how American they are? California gives our country $80 billion more than it takes back. Is this Donald Trump's way of saying he'd like to see California keep that money and not send it to red states where it can be good welfare cash for everybody else? This is not even legal.
Y'all, I had to pause on this part because I want y'all to see this. California pays $692.2 billion to the federal government. What do they take back in return? $609.1 billion. That's an $83.1 billion gap. Do you know what they could do with $83.1 billion? I keep trying to remind these MAGA people, California is self-sufficient. The math speaks for itself. California is the not the fifth, because just recently they have been bumped up to the fourth largest economy in the world. Fourth behind only United States, China, and I believe it's Germany. That means it's bigger than nations. Do you understand what that means? They have an economy bigger than nations. So when it comes to these red states constantly trying to police blue states, because let me just wrap it back up into this. There are more self-sufficient blue states than there are red states. Even Texas takes in more money than it puts out. Because of, guess what? Climate change. They have a bad electric grid. They constantly have hurricanes and tornadoes. So they constantly need FEMA money, right? Florida, same exact problem. But blue states are the ones that are dependent on the federal government. And that's the reason why I'm so happy that there's governors that are willing to step up and say what needs to be said. If you don't appreciate my views, if you don't appreciate the way I run my state, if you want to commandeer my National Guard, maybe you also don't want my money. We will take it back. You obviously do not need it. But let's keep on watching.
Congress owns the purse strings. He can't even do it. It's all a complete distraction. I swear, the only thing this administration hates more than the New Testament is the Constitution.
Let's say I agree with you, Scott, about your diagnosis of California's problems. And I mostly do. And I don't know anyone, including Californians, who think that that state is being run well. I don't. But this is an affront to states' rights. This is big government. This isn't conservatism, and we don't have to relitigate whether he's conservative. He's not. He doesn't care. That's fine. This is not the way government should work, punishing children, fire victims, flood victims, to make a political point. And so even if we agree with your issues with California, do you really think that this is the best way, this blunt object that is both personal and political, is the way to force California's hand on this?
I do think the confrontation is necessary, but I'll take one part of your argument that I think is worth discussing, and that's the idea of states' rights. So you're saying that in the name of states' rights, we should allow the California university system to set up Jew exclusion zones because they believe it's okay as a state?
No, I granted
Then is the
you those
confrontation not
problems.
worth having on behalf of those students alone?
The confrontation is Donald Trump saying, adopt MAGA values or I'm going to punish you by taking federal dollars away.
It's not MAGA values to eradicate anti-Semitism. It's not MAGA values to protect girls.
You're picking issues.
It's not MAGA values to deport illegal aliens. It's just American law and American values.
And Donald Trump doesn't care about
I'm not
anti-Semitism.
disagreeing with your issues with California. I don't think this is the right way to do it. And I think 5 or 6 years ago, you wouldn't have either, because you also believed in conservatism.
I don't know about I couldn't have imagined.
I don't know about 5 or 6 years ago. I would say maybe like 1.5 years ago. But I mean, look, I think that
I think it's freaking funny. Did y'all catch that joke? Because Joe Biden, there was talks about Joe Biden having to go into, I believe it was South Dakota. Was it South Dakota? I'm not that sure, but it was a red state that Kristi Noem governed, right? And everybody was like, no, Joe Biden, you can't go in there. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. Right? And Scott Jennings was first on the freaking line talking about states' rights. States have the ability to decide what they want to do. Right? Like, I wonder if Republicans know that they're setting precedent. And whatever you're going to allow now, a Democrat will be in this seat again. Most likely 2028. I mean, the polls are showing that y'all will lose the House. And y'all even made it, like, feasible for us to get back the Senate 2 years early. But I digress. Conservatives only believe in state rights when it benefits the rights that they want to amplify, not when it's on the other side. Because they love to say anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is wrong. However, they don't have any of this same want when it comes to their president, who has lunch with anti-Semites. He pardons anti-Semites. I mean, do you not know what the Proud Boys stand for? Do you not know what Kanye West stands for? Do they not know what Nick Fuentes stands for? Of course they know. They're just fine with anti-Semitism as long as it's on the right and these people are going to vote for their party. Not saying that we should be pushing anti-Semitism. California's college system has found ways to fix anti-Semitism. But we know, just as we know with racism, just because you want it gone, don't mean it's going to be gone. I mean, any person of this skin color can tell you that. Our first time ever encountering racism most of the time happens in colleges. We don't see y'all fighting this hard about that, but let's keep on listening, y'all.
Is a very important point.
What do you mean by that?
SC
1.5 years ago or 5 years, I would not have condoned a state or a university
hold on a second.
terrorizing Jewish kids. I absolutely would never have condoned
the issues
that.
With
and I don't condone it today.
The issues with anti-Semitism on college campuses are very serious and very important. But SC is asking a very important and basic question. Is this the best way to rectify that problem? And is the punishment commiserate with the allegations of wrongdoing? And I think there are questions on both of those fronts. If Trump wants to actually fix the problem, why not come up with a plan to work with the system and with meaning the university system and get them to fix it, as opposed to just saying, well, no more funding for you, California.
The great irony in all of this is that while Scott and I were having a discussion about the 5th and 14th Amendment in the last segment, we're now having a conversation about the 10th Amendment and states' rights and things that matter in the Constitution and eviscerating that. This is a very slippery slope, because when there is a Democratic House, or when there is a Democratic president or a Democratic citizen, a Senate, excuse me, and they take on the South, and they take on some of the policies and procedures. People talk about Baltimore and Chicago and New York. Do you know that the highest rates of murder and violence happen to be Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, states that are run by Republican legislatures? And when you see individuals who wield that power, who are in Washington, D.C., dropping that hammer, and when all of a sudden they do it against the Alabamas or the Mississippis or the South Carolinas or the Georgias, then Scott and Essie and everybody else, well, Essie's actually has common sense in this argument, are going to be upset. And that's my biggest problem with this. This is a slippery slope.
I do think that there is in these times, and perhaps all the time, a failure to put yourself in the shoes of the other party here, right? Not just political party, the other side of any particular argument. Sure. So, to Bakari's point, if a Democratic president decided to withhold all federal funds for the state of Texas because they banned abortion, would you be okay with that?
You're comparing abortion laws to Jew exclusion zones at UCLA?
I am saying that any particular issue, it doesn't matter what the issue is, that a president decides, your party, the Democratic Party, decides is important enough that they want to withhold federal funds from a state, would you be okay with it?
Yeah,
I think that's the fundamental question.
Are laws passed by legislatures. Anti-Semitism and radicalism on college campuses designed to terrorize Jewish kids are not laws. It's just radicals on campuses that are allowed to get away with it in blue states.
That's a great point.
That's a totally different argument.
They are not laws. They are actions of individuals who should be punished. But you are acting as if they are laws and trying to punish the entire state for it.
I'm acting as though the state and the university system run by the state has condoned it. They clearly have, and they've fostered it. They've fomented it.
Okay.
I can't let that keep going without saying that every single Democrat has come out against violence against Jewish people. Every Democrat has known and knows that anti-Semitism is wrong. There is a reason why the Proud Boys aren't voting for Democrats. There's a reason why they're lining up behind Donald Trump, because they know he supports their views. He wants a white America. Let's just cut it out. Scott does not want to answer the question because he knows. Let them keep down this path. Let them set this precedent. When it comes to wanting to finally clean up all these street violence, it's red states, red cities that have the highest waves of crime. Red cities that are allowing women to die because of abortion, draconian abortion laws. It is red states that are leaving kids hungry in the street because guess what? They won't accept the extended SNAP benefits. All these things can be used to justify, okay, well, we think there's a national emergency in this state because y'all can't fix this violence. What are you going to do then? We think it's a national emergency in this state because you have women dying in the parking lot. What are you going to do then? And these are actual laws. You're trying to, the same way you always say, well, it's not the entire Republican Party that is racist. We just have people in the Republican Party that do racist things, and those are the racists. Why can't it be at these universities are not anti-Semites? They're just people inside of these universities that are saying things that that are anti-Semitism. It seems like they only understand that if it's from their side of the party. As soon as they look at a Democrat, oh no, let's generalize everybody. The same way they stereotype black people, the same way they stereotype women, the same way they stereotype just about everything part of society. They don't have the ability to understand nuance. And because they don't have the ability to understand nuance, they can't make articulate arguments. Because they can't make articulate arguments, they do a lot of whataboutism. They do a lot of, let me just answer your question with this question or this scenario. Let me just slide across here. It's so slimy. I hate it. And what sucks is Scott Jennings is now a candidate. He was trying to run for the Senate in Kentucky because, Mitch McConnell, he's about to retire. This is what you have to look forward to. He's going to magnify himself as much as possible so that he can get elected because he's going to be in Kentucky, a state that unfortunately votes red even when it's against their self-interest. But let's keep on going.
So I guess just to close the loop here, it doesn't seem like you think that this is something that can be weaponized against Republicans in the future.
I would not expect Republicans in a state to set up situations where we're clearly violating and terrorizing children on college campuses, people on college campuses. That is happening in blue states, that's happening in cities, and it's happening by progressive radicals on campus.
Do you recognize that is not the only issue that the federal government might decide they want to get involved in? That anti-Semitism is terrible and it's wrong and it's important to address. But there are a whole host of other things. The Democratic president could easily say, on the issue of women's rights and abortion, we are going to penalize a red state if they try to abridge what a Democratic president believes are their rights.
I don't doubt that they could try to do that, and I'm sure much of this is going to wind up in court. The reason I appreciate the confrontation is because it brings these issues to light, and it gives everybody a chance to discuss what, as he said, is this state being run properly, and is it being run to the detriment of the people who live there?
It's just sad. It's just sad, y'all. They're never going to get it. They're never going to try and get it. And it sucks that they let him have the last word, especially when he's spewing such BS and nonsense. But y'all tell me what y'all think about all this in the comments. Right after this, I actually have a segment where they talk about the Proud Boys suing the federal government now because they're going to get they want $100 million because they feel like they had a political prosecution and they were political prisoners. This is what happens when you use a lot of whataboutism. This is what happens when you can't articulate arguments. And this is what happens when you harbor hate within your party. And you're too busy trying to point out this specific hate without pointing out all of the hate like the Democrat Party does. But y'all tell me what y'all think about all this in the comments. I really enjoyed this panel. I thought it was really enlightening because I always wondered, what would Republican states do if they did not have the funding of blue states? Like, what would y'all do? Like literally, what would you do? Because you're not self-sufficient. But you it mind boggles me. But y'all tell me what y'all think about all this in the comments. I really appreciate y'all for watching this video. If you were here for 2 seconds, I appreciate you to death. If you were here for the entire freaking video, I freaking love you. And I can't wait to see you on the next video. Bye.